Yeah, this week is Thanksgiving, so maybe you're getting your aunts, uncles, grandparents all around the dinner table. Sometimes those big events, though, can be really stressful, especially depending on family dynamics.
Joining us now is Dr. Jeff Gardere, who's a board-certified clinical psychologist. Dr. Jeff, good to see you.
Great to see you, Dan. Hi, Hazel.
Hi there.
All right, Dr. Jeff, going home for the holidays. Some people hold their breath the entire time they're there. So if you're someone who finds it stressful, right, what are some ways to get prepared, get in that right mindset, especially because this might be the first time you've seen your family in a very long time because of the pandemic?
Yeah, and I think it's really important that we keep that front and center, that we have been distanced for so long. It's important to look at the needs of others, just not your own needs. And also think about it. This is just a tiny part of your lifetime. It'll go just like that. And also remember that once you settle in, Dan, you are going to remember that this can be a very pleasant affair.
But should we feel obligated to go home for the holidays since some people haven't seen their family in so long?
Look, I'm not one who believes that you should feel guilty about saying no. But again, Hazel, I think it's looking at a bigger part of what this is all about. We've been separated for so long. We're in a pandemic. Hopefully, we're seeing the other side of it. And so I think it's important for us to reconnect. We don't want to be too selfish about this. But I think when you really think about it, is if you are able to give of your time and see those people who've been waiting to see you for so long, it will make you feel better.
Yeah, and I do, you know, I'm close to my family because we live close to each other, but some people aren't. And then that forms those invasive questions that come about, right? You sit down and you're about to cut in and you're about to take your first bite and everyone's like, why are you single? When are you having children? Why are you not married? What's going on in your life? How do you navigate those conversations pleasantly instead of just, you know, saying something that's rather I can't say on live television?
Well, keep in mind that they're not asking you this just to be nosy. Of course, that's part of it. But I think the bigger part of it is that they really care about you. And so you have to keep that in mind.
Oh, look who came to join us.
I actually put a chair back there
I love it.
to stop them, and they still broke through. These are my St. Bernard poodles, Milo and Mocha, who just want to be part of the celebration. And so they'll be joining us. But getting back to this topic, the important thing is to understand that you can answer the question honestly and then pivot away or do the therapist thing. Well, why are you asking Auntie John or Auntie Jane? Uncle John and Auntie Jane. Why are you asking? And then get into a conversation about it, and then you can pivot away again.
Okay, but you said they weren't asking to be nosy.
Well, maybe a little bit to be nosy, but it's because they care. If they didn't care, they wouldn't bother asking. That's what you have to keep front and center.
I'm so glad they care, but just so you guys, it's like, I'm happy. I'm not saying me personally, but I'm just saying in overall, you know.
Well, in the times that we're living in now, though, you know, as we plan these gatherings, whether or not someone's vaccinated will likely come up. So how do we approach that conversation with family?
Well, that's something we're actually approaching today in your 4 p.m. hour. But I would say it's important for the person who's holding the event to be able to have complete say-so as to whether they're asking you to take a rapid test or whether they are requiring you to be vaccinated. And no one should feel guilty about that. I know it's very political, but at the same time, this is about family and this is about safety.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, let's bring in Marisol to the conversation right now.
Hi,
you just brought up the idea, you know, about things being political. Vaccine shouldn't be, but also this idea of politics at the table can also be a cause of stress and anxiety.
It certainly can be. And Marisol, how are you? So great to see you, my dear neighbor. You know, the important thing here with the politics is be true to yourself, but go into it with a mindset of learning from someone else. Don't be stuck in a position. If we stop learning, then that is something that is not good for our cognition. So if we go into it with sharing ideas and agreeing to agree and agreeing to disagree, then that makes for a healthier conversation, but a really great Thanksgiving evening.
Jeff, I just want to know if you're going to have an empty chair for me at your table, because I fully expect to get kicked out of my 26-person Thanksgiving dinner.
You're always welcome at my table, good friend. And of course, Milo and Mocha will be joining us too.
What do you do about, we have time for another question? What do we do if you feel that urge or that sense of guilt for like having to leave, right? You like want to, you're like, I've had enough and my brain can't handle anymore, so I'm going to head out. But like, should you feel guilty about that?
No,
How do you like
feel
graciously leave?
guilty.
Well, when your family makes you feel guilty, you know? I'm
They
saying
can only
mine
make
does.
you
Again,
feel guilty if you give them permission to make you feel guilty. You call me.
And I
I'll talk to
agree with
Jody.
Marisol.
I'm not talking personally. I'm talking about just in general. I've heard from people who are like, "Oh gosh, I just want to be able to leave, and I can't."
The fact that you make an appearance is good enough. You took the time to be there for everyone. You stay for as long as you feel comfortable, because if you start feeling miserable, well, the consequences are not going to be that good anyway. So make your appearance, and then when you feel it's time to go, give everyone their hug, say goodbye, and don't look back, because you'll be back next year anyway, or for the next holiday for me.
Right. No, I have a great. I mean, my house is always a good time. But I do know that some folks it's a stressful situation.
Yeah, I don't get to see my family this Thanksgiving, so that's a little bummer.
Oh.
But I get to see my friends, so that'll be good, right? Plus, I have this family here at Pixel.
That's great. Friendsgiving.
Yes, Friendsgiving for sure.
Exactly. All right, Dr. Jeff, happy Thanksgiving to you. I love your deep
Thanksgiving.
teas. We'll be talking about that at 4 p.m. Look at you with the TV lingo. All right, we'll see you, and goodbye to the dogs.
All righty.
I love that.